Greetings folks, today I will go through the tier list of the best races in Oblivion and the one that I believe that are gonna be generally better depending on your playstyle. Before I begin, I'm gonna explain my reasoning very quickly. First of all, you should play the race that you like the most because this is a single player game. However, if you want to push the difficulty slider, you should know that skill bonuses are not the main reason why you should pick up a race. They're gonna give you an edge early on, but eventually you will max everything anyway. There are ways you can push attributes above 100, however, for example, in the case of strength, it will not increase your melee damage any further. Difficulty scaling in Oblivion is quite terrible and forces you to play towards certain playstyles. And if you go on Master, melee is extremely penalized. Also, disease resistance is more of a quality of life, and it's not as good as the other type of resistances. Some bird signs have more impact than your race choice, so keep that in mind as well. I made a guide, and I will link that in the description. Enemies will use poison much more often at higher level compared that early on, and they have the tendency to stack their effects, so they're quite annoying. Pure stealth archers falls off pretty hard on Master, unless you go 100% chameleon, and then you become like the stealth god. Alright, let's begin. From worst to the best, Imperial. So, the reason why Imperial, from a purely combat perspective, is really not that great is because they are a meme race. And by meme, I mean that they have a bonus to personality and are generally suited for non-combat tasks. To explain why, their traits are mainly two daily powers that you can use. One is an absorb 100 points of stamina on touch that can be useful. And then they have a charm that, that is really not that combat oriented as a power. And that is pretty much it. There is nothing special about Imperial. I would pick Imperial merely from a roleplay or just have fun perspective because you like the race. Next one is gonna be the Wood Elf. So, why is the Wood Elf good but limited? They make for very good stealth archer because they're starting bonus toward marksman and stealth and all that stuff. However, they really don't shine anywhere else. And the main reason is that their traits are quite limited. They have a daily power that is completely useless. They can tame animals up to level 5 for 1 minute. And then they have a disease resistance. They don't bring much to the table beside the stealth archery. However, they're cute, so they get props for that. Khajiit are in a similar situation. Their starting bonus is not toward marksman, but they make for good assassin as well because of their overall setup. Moreover, Khajiit have better racial powers than Elf. They have pretty much a free night vision that costs 0 magicka, and that is good, especially early on. Their other greater daily power, Eye of Fear, allows them to demoralize an opponent up to level 25 for half a minute, which means that they will run away usually. So it's a good crowd control. Also, Khajiit has a starting bonus for end-to-end, so you can even go monk if you want to play Khajiit. Argonian. It's very similar to the situation with Khajiit, with the difference that Argonian is more suited for also being a mage hybrid because of their stats. However, what makes Argonian probably the best out of those is that it's the only race with full immunity to poison damage. They can also breathe underwater, that is kinda decent early on, but it's not that much of a factor generally. So, Argonian is good. Their stats doesn't make them super suited to be warriors in general. They don't have high strength and they have a low starting endurance, so keep that in mind. Next one is gonna be High Elf. High Elf is gonna be a little more tricky. It's the race with the most amount of magicka. So means that ideally you want them to play pure mages. The downside of High Elf is that they have a 25% elemental vulnerability. This means that if you are unprepared, mages can shred you. So you need to be very careful. They also have 75% resist to disease. Generally, High Elf is super strong. And if you go Atronach with Bird Sign, you can mitigate the downsides and have the character with most amount of magicka in the game. Absolutely. So, High Elf is really good. Depending on your Bird Sign, you're forced to play on certain styles. For example, I would not go High Elf and Apprentice because you will become too squishy against mages. Next one that is strong is gonna be the Nord. Now, the main reason why the Nord is an attractive race, beside their high strength and endurance, is their 50% resistance to frost damage, which makes them strong against certain enemies and in certain situations versus mages. Their other daily powers, however, are really not that much of a standout. I'm talking about 50 points of frost damage on touch once a day, and then a 30% shield for 1 minute. So shield is not a magical protection ability. Shield is pretty much extra armor rating that you give yourself on top, so it's physical mitigation. So you should keep that in mind. Overall, Nord is a strong race. Not the strongest warrior race, however, in my opinion. Next one is gonna be the Redguard. So, Redguard is definitely better than Nord, and there are two reasons for this. First of all, it has the highest amount of poison resistance after the Argonian, 75. Means that they can still get poisoned, but the impact is gonna be much less. Redguard has a quite useful daily power, Adrenaline Rush, which gives them 50 points of agility, endurance, speed, and strength, and then 25 points of health without any drawback. Redguard is absolutely a very strong race, especially if you want to play warrior. Next up is gonna be Orc. Now, the reason why Orc is especially good is because of their 25% magical resistance. The only race beside Breton that has this trait. Also, their daily power is strong as well. It will fortify you 200 points of fatigue, 20 points of health, 50 points of strength. However, this will come at the cost of 100 agility. In case you don't know, if you have low agility, enemies will stagger you more easily. This can be a pain for melee. However, Orcs' starting attributes in combination with these traits makes them a very good and strong warrior choice. So Orc is absolutely strong. Is it better than Redguard? Well, it's up to a preference. Both have different benefits, but I would not say that one is 100% better than the other. 25% point of magic resistance, however, is, my god, that's really good. Okay, Breton. I would consider Breton to be amazing, and there are different reasons for this. First of all, it doesn't have any downsides. It has 50% magic resistance and a very useful daily power that allows them to cast a 50% shield on them once a day. And not only that, they are the second race with the highest amount of magicka because they have 50 points, so that is only half what high health has without any downside. Okay, so this allows them to take the apprentice bird sign and mitigate by half the magic vulnerability of that sign. So Breton is absolutely good. They can also even go a step further and go Atronach if they want, if you want to specialize yourself against magic. Also, Breton is not a class that can only go mage. You can go Spellblade, can even go warrior if you want. However, it's gonna be a struggle early on because Breton doesn't have a lot of endurance and their strength is gonna generally be a little lower. Also, they don't have super high agility, so keep these in mind. The other race that I consider to be extremely strong is gonna be the Dark Elf. So, the reason why the Dark Elf is super strong is mainly tied to their resistance. Dark Elf has a 75% fire resistance. This is especially useful because there are a lot of sources of fire damage in the game. You have the Hydras, you have mages, you name it. Moreover, if you decide to go vampire, Dark Elf can mitigate a huge portion of those downsides. And all this without any drawback. Moreover, Dark Elf can be played in different ways. You can go mage, you can go warrior, you can go Spellblade. Their bonuses are all tied around that. Moreover, there is another feature that few people know about Dark Elf. Their other daily power allows them to summon an ancestral guardian, or whatever is the name. If you go Atronach and you turn the creature hostile, the creature will attack you, allowing you to replenish your magicka. That is from the get-go. So, you can build Dark Elf to be very tanky. Is it better than Breton? They are different. I would say that Breton has a little edge just because of the fact that the extra magicka and the magic resistance are gonna be more universal. Extra Magica, you can heal more, for example. You can cast more spells. Meanwhile, the Dark Elf doesn't have that. Is the Dark Elf better than, for example, Orc or Redguard? Each one of them are gonna have different benefits. However, I decided to put Dark Elf up there because it's more versatile. Well, this is my opinion. Thank you for watching. If you disagree or agree or you have a different idea, let me know in the comment. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe for more, I don't know, stuff. Have a good day. See you.